Zebu Animation Studio. Mr. P. Jaikumar, CEO, Toons Media Group. Okay. And Mr. A.R. Sheshaprasad, Head of Studio, DNEG India. Mr. Rajiv Chilka, Founder and Managing Director of Green Gold. I request the please hand over the mics to the panelists.
Good evening, everyone. Very excited to be back at GEFX. Always the energy here is usually very strong, the vibrant community here. So we're going to talk about opportunities and challenges, within the AVGC XR sector. I have three brilliant people who have a lot of experience behind them. They've weathered too many storms. So I'm going to try and attempt to extract maximum out of them, and hopefully there can be some takeaways for all of us. I think just to kick off, what is the opportunity? I think globally the entertainment industry is roughly at $2.8 trillion and slated to touch $3.4 trillion in the next 5 years. Just the AVGC XR piece out of that is roughly $800 billion, right? And obviously in the next 5 years, potentially will probably touch the 1 trillion mark. So literally 1/3 of the global media and entertainment piece. And I think with the way gaming is going, I don't doubt that we will touch that figure. But if you look at the India story, I think we are not even at 2%. So we clearly have a massive opportunity for growth. So I think just for context, that's the opportunity. I think even if we manage to touch 10%, then I think we are talking about phenomenal pace of growth. Obviously, with that kind of a growth comes challenges, whether it's in terms of talent, clearly is one of them. The ecosystem at large, what's happening within India on the policy front, on the skilling front, how we sort of shape the industry, where it is going. And obviously, we are all bracing with the impact of AI, what it means for the future of the industry, particularly the production and services industry, where it's going to lead. So clearly, we have a lot to sort of talk about, and I think one of the things that I love about being in this field, and it's been now 30 years that I've spent in this industry, is that it's a very vibrant space, ever evolving. There's a lot happening in our industry, and there's no moment of quiet. So let's dive in. I'll start with Rajiv. Rajiv, can you sort of talk about what is your business model today? And I mean, this is a question eventually for all of you to sort of put in context what part of your business is original productions for the domestic market, for the international market, and if at all you do services, then what portion, So if you can just start with that.
Sure. I think, so Green Gold has been around for 21 years. And when we started the company, I was pretty clear that original production will be something that we will focus on. And pretty much till 2016, we just did original productions. And we felt, it was different industry back then, in the sense television was the most important thing. So TV was buying, there were like some 15, 16, or even 25 channels, kids channels at one point in India itself. So it was actually, now I realized looking back, it was golden times. So what was fantastic was people were open to listening to ideas. You can pitch your ideas. You're able to, and even the viewers were very thrilled about watching because they had only one or two mediums of watching and then
Yeah.
used to go and watch. What has changed recently is, of course, too many mediums to watch content. You know, just so many OTT platforms, so many TV channels, digital channels. Then there is fast channels,
Yeah.
social media, and so it's crazy, like the way we are
Yeah, I think
bombarded.
you're right. The audience has sort of got siloed, you know.
But the audience is still there.
Yeah.
It is just that we need to figure out our formula of monetizing. So as a company, as a business model, so we had to get into everything. So we are doing content for television, we are doing content for OTTs, we are doing services, we are doing co-productions, we are doing licensing, merchandising. And basically whatever is there, even if we have to go and stick a poster on the wall, we will do it because we have realized to survive, we need to do that. I think for example, I think our industries, I feel very tough. I mean, why it is tough is because there are a lot of twists and turns.
Right.
And luckily today, like everything is looking perfect for India. Like we have the right artists, we have the right economy. The economy is booming. Government supports across all states, even at the central level. We have waves coming up, which is supposed to be one of the global biggest industries.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest AVGC XR event.
So we have everything fantastic going on. And then, of course, so it is now, okay, we also have a sad news about Technicolor. We all know that. So now we have to also see as India, we need to understand what is it that we need to do. So this is an opportunity for Indian companies to rise and bridge that gap. I think his company has done phenomenally well.
Correct.
And I mean, they're the world leaders now, I guess. After they were probably also before, but I think we have great opportunity now to bridge that gap. I mean, studios like us, we've been mid-size for a long time. Yours as well. We all have a chance to rise up now, and we have to rise up because India has now got every opportunity. So if we fail, it is only ourselves to blame now because now we have everything set. Thanks to people like Ashish who has worked for betterment of the industry. There are great creative and people like Vaibhav and Suresh and other people. Then there are business people like Jay Kumar who think out of the box and stuff. And then of course we have young people like example Joyce, I think Joyce, right? So we have this young talent they've got great ideas, they're not afraid to fail. I think we are at the right place at the right time. We just need the right leaders to take it to the next level.
Just a follow-up question, Rajiv, is that what do you where do you see challenges, particularly for Green Gold today, in light of, obviously you've been around for, I think, almost 30 years, Obviously, I think you've spelled out this massive opportunity. But if you were to sort of look at top 3 challenges today as Green Gold, where do you see those challenges are?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for everyone is monetization.
Yes.
Because I think the other things can be, example, skill can be developed, other things can be. So today, I think studios are failing only when they're not able to monetize.
Correct.
And also get paid. These are also 2 important things.
Yes.
So I think that's all. I think that is the most important thing. We need to figure out how can we monetize and be controlling the last mile. Because I think somebody else, whoever is controlling the last mile is the winner.
Yeah. I think ownership of audience is becoming very, very critical, especially in light of the fact that the audiences are sort of now, they're spending less time on TV, more time online. And then within the online space, whether it's watching YouTube or watching OTT or playing games, that's again a huge factor, So, okay, moving on, Sesha, obviously you had DNEG here, and DNEG, probably people know it as an international company, but what I think people don't know that it's actually owned by an Indian, it's owned by Namit. And like you were mentioning in the earlier session, started with a garage in Santa Cruz. In fact, his father used to run a rental business. And I think Namit in particular, originally Prime Focus, now DNEG has had an amazing journey. So what I would like you to sort of talk about that today DNEG's business in India and how globally how you operate, and as a GCC here, how does that business look? And then obviously, what do you see as the challenges?
Yeah, so finally, yes, we are an Indian, although we're a multinational company, we're an Indian company, heart, very desi DNA. Like I said, and like any other, people talk about your San Jose or your San Francisco startups. We started in Mumbai, Hamshi, Mumbai, in a garage, and we've gone across the globe to be probably one of the largest visual effects and stereo services companies in the world. And obviously, we made forays into animation, and we also have our own, technical vertical and things like that. All this have been born out of necessity for us. As a services, we wanted to become the biggest services vendor in the world. We reached that point, and then a lot of things have changed over a period of time. The Hollywood strike, writer's strike, the actors' strikes hit, and the same thing, 15 years back, the same strikes also happened. And then, there's this boom with the OTT platform when the COVID happened, and now looking at all the subscriptions and other things going down, the amount of projects being greenlit going down and things like that. And we realized that, okay, we are at the mercy as a services company, at the mercy of our clients, at the mercy of the people who make the content, and the competition is heating up because lesser content is being made for visual effects and things like that. So we over the period of time, we've obviously, it was a complete opposite transition. He's transitioned from IP to services. We are transitioning from services to IP, where we've started co-producing not only Indian content, Indian movies. We co-produced Brahmastra, we co-produced Fighter. We did a few other movies along the way in India, and we obviously we also co-produced Garfield, the movie, which was very successful for us. We took it as a partner during COVID. Namit went and sold the idea. Why don't we execute it? I'll put in the money to execute. And anyway, people are consuming content. We went ahead aggressively, did Garfield, which was successful. And similarly, that success story got about us producing Angry Birds 3 now, which is going to be produced. So we as a company are slowly trying to transition. We're also producing a movie with Legendary also, which is all about live, photoreal talking animals and things like that. And obviously our biggest hope is we believe, Namit believes and we believe in making India for the world concept, which obviously the Prime Minister is also forecasting. We're producing Ramayana, obviously yet another Ramayana, but with a very, very, very big ambition. I'm sure the teaser is going to be launched shortly, and we have a worldwide cast that is crewing, basically technicians working from all over the world who are a part of this whole thing that we intend to come out in two parts, and one in 2026 and one in 2027. So what we've grown, and our challenges were, as I mentioned about the challenges, going back to your question, was we could not just be service providers.
So do you think it was because you were feeling pressures on the margins and hence you thought it's better to invest? Was that one of the reasons?
No, margins, yeah. First of all, margins, yes. But you need to have the jobs to talk about margins. The jobs itself are reducing with the competition increasing. And margins were going down, and that was a state of, boon and the bane is, if you look at it from an India, for the world standpoint, India has become the breadbasket of visual effects for the world. What that has also meant, the price points have started coming down. The reverse, in turn, international companies are also finding the margins, obviously, come down. And the tax rebates are also becoming challenging. Some of the international countries, the tax rebates, what it used to be more attractive, has come down in the last 2 to 3 years. Case in point, Quebec and places like that, which also put pressure. and which the filmmakers want to cut down, and usually it's not on the actors' fees or on the other big things. It'll be usually visual effects or animation or whatever post activities are. So yes, I think it's also the amount of projects. Also, if you look at even the theatrical business, look at how many people. I think the amount of people going to theaters has reduced dramatically from what it used to be. That's the story of the Bollywood business. Also, if you look at Bollywood or the regional movies, the amount of box office and other things that have been looked at has come down drastically. So there's impact all around, and so apart from that, so you need to make those big tentpole movies. Apart from that, good, smart movies that, it could go to the world. That's where you can amortize a product, just not look at Indian market. Yes, everybody talks about pan-India and things like that. That's the movies that are big risks, which the Indian filmmakers are taking. But you should think about more than pan-India, pan-world, Indian products for the world.
Right. So, essentially you are saying that create in India for the world, right? Great. Okay. So which brings me to Viru. I think you've been doing a fair amount of work in that space, and, you've obviously partnered with companies like Lego, and you've just released a movie as well, So how has your journey been, and at what point did you feel that we sort of need to make this switch? Because you were essentially in the services space, and now in the last 2 years, obviously, today we heard the announcement of Supandi and Wingstar as well. So it'll be interesting to hear sort of your journey transiting. And was it a decision based on the opportunity that you saw, or were there other business realities?
Yeah. For us, I think one of the reasons why we transitioned from services to creating or wanting to create our own content is very similar to what Shesha is talking about, similar motivations, right? But also the ambitions. I did not realize when I got into services. I thought I was making animation, and suddenly it became a game of upload. I did not know when that transition really happened. And by the time that happened, I'd lost all the hair, had to wear hats indoor, and then it dawned on me that one of the reasons that we all come to this, want to be part of this community, is simply because of wanting to tell stories that we have, right? And now that is something that was a primary driver. Obviously, business is on the service side, very similar challenges. The margins keep going down every year, and the schedules stay the same. The quality actually goes up. A lot of challenges there, and I also liked what Raji was talking about, control the narrative, right? And that's primary motive for us. Yeah.
So, now, obviously, both the new IPs that you've created, so where do you think, obviously one of the biggest challenges today when you put out any new IP is how to find the audience for it? What platform do you release it on? So any thoughts on, or can you share any insights on how are you going about both the properties? Because one is essentially Supandi is supposed to be a series, and as I understand, Wingstar is going to be a feature series.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Supandi is going to be, right now we are going to take Supandi to YouTube at this point. That's how we are going to get started. Use YouTube as a focus group to see the new avatar of Supandi, how does it resonate with the audience? Do the stories work? Do the audience react to it? And then obviously I'm going to come and meet all my peers here and say, hey guys, would you want to partner with us at some point? This is the data points we have. And intention is to raise capital moving forward for the primary series. And for Wingstar, we will take it to the market and go around seeing if there's anyone interested to co-produce or produce this along with us. Whether it's the OTTs or the broadcasters or the distributors, if they want to come in.
Right. And as I was watching the teaser in the morning, I think I saw that the character designs were not essentially Indian. And I think the sort of region neutral, if I could use that word. Was that a conscious decision?
No, Wingstar is the first female superhero character created by Tinkle, which is based out of Mizoram. So these characters are Northeast characters. The story is going to resolve around Aizawl and Kolkata. That's where it's going to happen. And season 2 is when it comes to, if I may use the word mainland India, that's when it comes to Mumbai and other parts. That's when the story will come towards the main part of India. So the accent, it's still work in progress. So casting is wrong. It's supposed to have the Northeast accent in terms of the accent.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So, I think Graffiti's own journey as well, when we created Deepa and Anu, which is a Netflix original, and we partnered with Mattel. I think this was way back in 2016-17 when the project started. But I think the idea again was very clear that create an India for the world. And I think we were very lucky that both Netflix and Mattel came on board, and they, gave us a free hand in creating that show. And obviously it went on to be very successful. We won 4 Kid Screen Awards, So I think fundamentally, do you feel that there's an opportunity for Indian creators? Is there a market for original Indian content, but created for the global audience? Do you sense that?
I believe in it, but we will need we'll need a deeper pulp, because the brand, original content will, even if it's extraordinary, if there is no brand loyalty, if there's no character loyalty like what Rajiv had, right? It takes time, and one needs to have the wherewithal to be able to stay that long in the game, to create a sense of loyalty and the fans that will do anything and everything to come and watch the film that you have made. That would be one of the challenges with new IPs. Existing IPs, like what we are doing with Supandi, is piggy-banking on the success of the character that already exists. Yes, it is in a different avatar, but we are hoping that we can move the audience from comics to television films at some point. That really is the hope.
So obviously Supandi is something I've grown up with. So how do you think you hope to establish, I don't know about the readership of that particular character over the last 10, 15 years or 20 years. Has it been as popular?
In the comic book, I think, according to Amar Chitrakarta data, they're still doing about 1 lakh subscription a month. So that is, I think that's pretty phenomenal in an era where people have reduced.
I think where I see the advantage is also, I think the global audience that you have. I think they have more subscriptions, a lot of subscriptions internationally. US more so. So that's where you can bank on. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask one question to Rajiv right now. So I know, you were one of the biggest success stories of Indian content, with you being number 1, your program being number 1 globally on whatever that particular age group, Chota Bheem having the views. Yes, we're doing Chota Bheem, but why is it that you feel that any other content or IPs apart from Chota Bheem from Green Gold, what can we expect and how do you take it? Because it's a great story that created India for the world, and also because you have the Indian diaspora all over the world, that's probably driving a lot of the viewership also. So what else apart from Chota Bheem that's been successful for you globally?
So I think we welcome the new moderator. so
I'm curious, my personal knowledge also.
Yeah, so first thing is, what is a success? So let me just explain to the viewers. So one Chota Bheem example, the amount of business done in the last, it's been around for 17 years. So we did a business of $90 million, almost 800 plus crores, only on this character, Chota Bheem. That's everything else, like you asked me, so that was our biggest success, continues to be 17 years later. We had the biggest year last year, 2024, where we made, almost 10% of that. So earlier we did not know how to monetize. Now we figured out how to monetize. So we're able to make, 10 million kind of money every year just around these characters. Now, I think for us, of course, whatever money we made on Chota Bheem, we went and tried many other IPs and we blew it. Because we had no idea how to make one more successful IP.
So we kept trying. So we did so many. We had reasonable success. But then came a spin-off from Chota Beam, which was for preschool called Mighty Little Beam, which went global with Netflix, and it went viral, and it went on to become #1 preschool show on Netflix and stuff. And now we did so far. I mean, usually on Netflix, more than 3 seasons don't happen of any animated IP. So we did 3 seasons plus a spin-off, and now we're hopefully on the verge of signing 2 more seasons of the same. So we have like another 10-15 great ideas, but unless I know that this is the right platform, I'm not going to put it out there, because platform is the most important thing for that show. If you have great content on a bad platform, your story is over for that IP. So example, Mighty Little Beam was apt for Netflix, and the moment it was, kept online, to 190 countries, it became global show. Chota Beam aired on Pogo, hence it's local show. Today, anyone and everyone who put content on YouTube is a global, actually it's global access. So,
I'll ask one more question.
yeah, so.
Hold on. No, one last depending on this.
Okay.
So let him finish. No. What I want to know, sir, this is all what is going on right now. For you, the topic was about what is next for the AVGC, CGI, AVGCI. So now, what's next for Green Gold is what's next for a lot of the Indian story. So what's your story going there?
So we want to compete with Marvel, in the sense that's what makes money. And I think India, what is Marvel doing? 50, 60 years old comic content. They are monetizing. They have no idea they're doing the same thing, Deadpool 1, 2, 3, 4, same thing, X-Men, all these things. So we would love to, do something on that side of things. And luckily today the audience is accepting good content from anywhere, made anywhere. So I think that's what we would love to do.
Yeah. No, I think, Marvel, this example gets thrown around enough. I think what we don't realize, that's a brand that's over 30 years in the making, right? It's 3 generations grew up, reading the comics, right? So you have a fan base which is generational, multi-generational, right? I think this was being talked about when Brahmastra came out and saying, oh, we're going to launch a franchise. And I was like...
I think I want to add there, Marvel, no matter how old the brand is, how great it is, if you don't get Disney on board, who knows how to monetize it.
Oh, absolutely. Distribution as a muscle, no doubt. But I think what happens is that you need to constantly have that base, right? I think it's only then. It's also one of the reasons why, platforms like Netflix or Apple, when you go and pitch to them, they're always happy to keenly listen if you are backed by a good book or an established IP. Right. So I think that sort of it's just that it's confidence that when the show premieres on the platform, there is a certain loyal fan base that you hope that will come and sample your show. Obviously, after that is the merit of the show. Because one of the biggest things today is getting the audience attention, that even when you launch a fantastic property, you want a certain number of eyeballs to come in and at least sample. And yes, after the first 5 minutes, it's the merit of the content, So, okay. So I want to switch gears and, obviously AI is a lot talked about, and I'm saying that I would want each of you to sort of give us your perspective on, is AI a challenge or is it a growth opportunity? And how do you see it disrupting your production models in the next 2 years?
Okay, basically, I think AI is definitely not a challenge. AI is something that we need to embrace. And it's something that's going to help us, and it's going to help. It's a level playing field. Maybe some companies have 1 or 2 years of headway. Going back to our topic, to say, how do we become successful, or what is the future and things like that. Again, if you look at the global visual effects or animation companies. The companies who become big are the guys who were great tech innovators, apart from great storytellers, right? So which are the companies that became everybody, if you look at all the big 5 VFX companies, every company had one speciality, whether one was doing creatures, one was doing animals, one was doing great FX simulations or environments. They all were innovative in developing products.
This was particularly true in the VFX piece. There
No,
were
no, and
companies
also
which were-
even the animation piece, okay? If you look at, you look at it, Ed Catmull comes with a PhD from University of Utah.
Right.
He was a doctorate in physics and simulations. He started Pixar Animation, which was not Pixar Animation. At that point of time, by George Lucas funded it, and because he got divorced, he had to take care of his alimony, so he sold it to Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs,
So you look at it, it comes from a tech kind of a background. He partnered with great storytellers. Finally, right now, AI is an opportunity for us to explore the product in trying, but nothing takes away from the storytelling aspect. The content is great. You can have quickly produce content for various languages without having to do dubbed versions or having to do quick. Now, he has a great library. He can start producing more content very quickly based on his internal library by sampling and doing stuff like what we were discussing last night.
Right.
And I think that's going to help. And that's going to help a lot of guys who have content internally to, also develop, and also tech guys who can come and plug in and try to leverage and build tools for them. I guess AI is a great leveler, and that helps us to also put out content to different fields in innovative ways in doing stuff.
Okay. Rajiv?
So I agree with Prasad. And then, of course, AI is, we all need to use AI. I think many of us are already using it in our daily life, rewriting, synopsis, simple things. I think we all started getting used to AI. I think for my tomorrow's presentation also, I just used AI. So saved me a lot of time. And definitely, yes, for a company point of view, AI for a studio is great in the sense it will, as long as the leaders are in the company are understanding that AI I have to implement. So what we are telling our guys, because they were worried what will happen to the jobs. So I asked AI then, will people lose their jobs? It came up to me that if they don't learn to use AI, they may lose their jobs in the future.
Yeah, AI is being politically correct.
Exactly. So I think the most important thing for us to understand that AI has become part of our life. It was already there. Example, all these algorithms and stuff, like even Netflix monitors what you're doing, the way it is all AI. We're just not saying that. It's been a cool world in the last couple of years. And now it's like that .com era where anything you have .com, it is just $1 billion idea. Exactly, e-commerce and stuff. Now it is AI. I think we all should change our company names from animation to Green Gold AI to things like that. I think that will give us this thing. But most importantly, also investors are investing into companies who are futuristic in thought, that is using AI, and they have plans in their business plan. So AI is definitely here to stay, and there's no doubt in that. And I think let's ask the audience, is everyone here use AI ever, or do you guys use, or no?
Okay.
I think only 7,
Wow.
8 guys.
Okay, I'm surprised. Not
Have you
many
made
hands-
anyone
not
made
many
money
hands going up.
using AI here?
Okay. Interesting. Vaibhav's hand's gone up.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm surprised, Vaibhav. How did you use AI?
Brainstorm. Okay. Okay. Right.
And
Right.
I think it's become a way of pre-production for quick concepts and things like that.
Yeah,
for
I think
inspiration.
one thing that I definitely see that it's definitely empowering writers, because for them to today look at characters, earlier they would have to potentially go and reach out to someone like a Weber, and saying, "Yaar, kuch character design karke dikhao iska." Now they can sort of fire the voice and say, "Bhaiya, but dikhao humko." So I think that's definitely changing. So I think from a prototyping, absolutely a great tool. But Viru, your take on AI?
It's very similar to what these two gentlemen said. One of the things that we, at the engineering level, we need to move someone will have to get into it, right? We'll have to get into the small language model side of it, not just stick to the large language model, because it's way too generalized. That's one part. But for a studio to think that bringing AI, like what Shesha, I think, alluded to it, bringing a tool like an AI tool is not going to make your movie, right? It is another enabler, another assistant that we have, is a great assistant that we have, but if people are not there, in the early days, if I remember, a lot of IT companies thought animation mein computer use hota hai, so we can also start animation studios, right? So people who are storytellers have to use the tool. Non-storytellers should use the tools that are relevant to them in their own particular discipline. You cannot end up becoming a filmmaker simply because you have the tool at your disposal. It's like saying that, Hari, I can drive a car, it doesn't mean that I can drive
it's like you have word and you're a writer.
Yeah. So that would be my two cents there.
Yeah. But, a lot of times I often get asked the question. I said that, look, essentially, as a creative medium, I think as creators, I've always believed art is an expression of your personal emotions or your journey or what you experience as a storyteller. And I think as creators, Rajiv's take on something is very different from my take on, that, or for that matter, Vaibhav's take on it. Or even today, we saw a wonderful presentation by Suresh on very beautiful, very touching film called Un. I think it's just, and I think that experiencing of emotions, which shapes or molds your storytelling ability, is what makes every creator unique. And I don't think we are at a point where AI can start doing that, right? Because I think eventually any piece of art, or whether it's film or a still or an image, evokes an emotional response. And at least so far we are not at that point. I think till then, I think the human race is secure, And I think at the end of the day, what one has to realize that it is a human prompting in AI and telling it what you want. So you cannot remove the human quotient out of it.
Absolutely. So, but to know how to use AI, you need to have clarity. You need to know the story very well. You should already be able to see it. What you're going to do with a human being, you can accelerate the pace at which you can produce an idea, but the idea has to be very clear. If the thoughts are not clear, it is going to give you an unclear result.
Yeah. No, so I'll tell you, so that's something that we are doing. We are very big on historical research, and we've just finished a massive series called Bharat Hum. We are covering 400 years of Indian freedom struggle, 52 stories, And one of the things that we realize that there is so much material out there, which has, this thing. And, for you to at times go through all of that, it's humanly impossible, particularly, and I think that's where we are today using AI. We've actually currently tied up with a university, in Haridwar, Dev Sanskrit University, and we are building a sandboxed version of AI and essentially looking at how we can use, a collection of books, and how we can sort of then use that, to quicken our research, because if you have on a subject, if you have 200 books or 300 books, how do you extract information out of it, right? It's like sort of using it as a subject matter expert, So that's our take on AI. But let me open up the floor to questions. I think we have some brilliant people here. I think guys should use the opportunity. Can we have some mics on the floor, please? Can we have some questions going? Yep, okay, yes, I think we have one bold gentleman.
Again, coming to the AI part, because as Virendra Patel mentioned, people who are very good with using AI tools for their field, they are going to thrive. So apart from that, how do you keep track of the latest developments? Because 3 days ago, a model was launched, and you can just prompt it by asking it to fuse two games, and it fused the games. The games are Tetris and ping pong within 5 minutes. And these things are Rajiv's use of IP when it comes to using Beam, right? Because Tetris is a long-last game, so we can actually bring out so many public domain narratives to the picture now, as you mentioned now.
Right.
So how do you keep track of the latest developments, and how do you apply it? Like, is there a team that helps you like make AI part of the workflow, or how does it work for all of you?
I don't think the focus needs to be on keeping track of something. Again, the goal is each one of us, all of you have different goals and ambitions and aspirations, right? As long as you know what you're wishing to do, you'll always be aware of the technological evolution that's happening because you are always at the front of it. You're at the tip of the spear, right? So it's an inevitable thing. I don't think we should intend to search for, we should intend to pursue our dreams. That's really what I would suggest. That would be my 2 cents.
You know, what I would also say is that I don't think it's about using the absolute latest tool. You know, I think eventually there will be, you know, it's like with software versions, you know, like you have every new version of Maya coming out every 6 months or every year, right? But that doesn't make the previous version useless, right? So just by, sure, it's absolutely nice to have the latest, shiniest toy and to work with it. But I think a lot of it times it's your own thought process. What is it that you want out of that tool, right? Yeah, maybe the latest version of tool may give you slightly better results or slightly faster to come down to what you have in mind. But it's eventually your own clarity of thought, to what Viru said. You know, you have to be clear what you want from that AI system or that solution. Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, so I think the better way, I think, to answer your question is, you presently have around 27, 28 different tools of AI on which you can do different things. And a large amount of programmers use that and write their code over and above that. So we have some of our guys have written in-between code for AI. So you do the keyframes and in-between is done by the AI. Some of them are doing the storyboard and then you can modify the storyboard. So the thing is that you need to be constantly on a lookout for, there are new guys writing new tools and putting that into the public domain or in the subscription domain itself. So you actually have to subscribe to that, you have to constantly study that, and you need to look at your prompting skills to fine-tune as to what happens when you give a prompt like this and what happens when you give a prompt like this. And once you start making those assessments, you would know if you want to get a desired result of creating a film from AI, what best you want from which tool, and you will have to then combine those tools to make sure that you get a desired film that you really want. Some of the things when people try to do a complete sequence in a film, shot by shot, the characters change. They don't come the same. The expression-wise, they don't come the same. So I think some of these things are going to change and evolve on a daily basis. So you need to be constantly having a team right now in your studio who is exploring AI and exploring how it can add to things. At one point in time, we used to have automation team in the studios. We used to have plug-in teams in the studio. You need to have AI teams which probably might replace these guys who should be really smart young kids who can explore, and they would give you the right kind of output. So that's the answer. But my question to you guys, you know, the topic that we were discussing today is about the challenges and all. So my question to you guys is, you know, right now you have broadcasters who are greenlighting only shows that are running on them. And there are hardly 4 or 5 shows. The new shows for the last 2 years are not being greenlit. I want to know from Viren, where is he selling Supandi? Which platform is he looking for? No, you answer that. Second thing is that when you make a film, and you know, a bold guy sitting with you, Rajiv, year on year made films. And, sorry? No, it's not a question of fail. The issue is that your job is to create films. Your job is not to release the film. So the issue is that when you have a creative studio, and if you look at Pixar, they could create a film, they couldn't market a film or distribute a film. So they tied up with Disney to do that, and that was one guy who did it. Sansoni was the lawyer on both the sides, and he made the marriage happen. PDI was a great creative studio, and they had required DreamWorks to market and distribute. Ice Age required another partner. So the creative studios never went into the marketing and distribution. The challenge in India, as far as feature films is concerned, if you don't have a hero, live action hero, the complete ecosystem of Indian distribution doesn't know what to do, how to market. If you give them a kids film, they don't know what to do. If you give them a non-hero but a great subject and a great film, they still don't know how to market. They only know when there is a great hero, if he comes for a press conference or he comes for a show, how to market, how to take him to Kapil Sharma show, how to take him to Indian Idol, do some promotion, spend some for 25 crores and get the film out. The challenge for our industry is to get the platform for releasing or to commission or to greenlight. So I want to know your thoughts on that right now. That's a real problem. बाकी सब तुमने डिस्कस किया ना, वो तो स्टूडियो चलाने वाला प्रॉब्लम है. बट मेरे को ये चाहिए कि भाई दोनों डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मोनेटाइज कैसा करेगा. वो उसने अच्छा फिल्म बनाया, वो मोनेटाइज कैसा करेगा. इसने अच्छी फिल्म बनाई बच्ची ने, ये मोनेटाइज कैसे करेगी, कहाँ रिलीज करेगी, वो बताओ.
Sir, if I knew that, I would have made some more money. But it's what you have said is absolutely right. The biggest challenge is there, but there is a solution also. The solution is, first, we all need to work together, in the sense, like, certain people have certain strengths. Everyone is kind of working, independently, and they're figuring out their own failures and success. By the time they're ready for success, they have run out of money. So then they don't know what to do. They take up a job, they're quitting the industry. So it's very important that, for our industry, we need the support of the brilliant minds. That is the business side of things. We have the creative side of things, amazing. But I agree completely. We need to invest and get those people to come and help us, support us. So in every company, like, we need to have not just a creative mind, but we also need a business mind. And same way, we need to have, deals where when we're going for distribution or whoever, signed pre-sold. Many times we are making the film, going to the market. It is not going to happen like that. So, I mean, there is no one answer to what you asked, but I think definitely AI may have some answers. I will Google right after, AI after this and see what comes out. Maybe Prasad has something to add.
Prasad is making very big films.
We're trying to. Again, it's all about trying different things. Keep trying. Hopefully, find success along the way.
No, I'll tell you, when we launched Bharat Hai Hum, right, I think one of the biggest challenges that we had is that it's a show that we were making which was violent. And it was not violence for the sake of violence, but that's our history. Our freedom was fought with a lot of bloodshed. So when I went to a lot of kids broadcasters, and they said, "Arey, isme to bahut khoon kharaba hai." So I said, "Boss, I'm not showing you Shinchan or some other show which is just for the heck of being smart or just for the heck of garnering our boys. We're showing, this thing." So very early on, I realized that there is a distinct possibility that none of the kids channels will take up the show. So that's when I realized that I will have to work extra hard on the distribution. And I'm just sort of sharing my journey. And, I would say that fortunately we landed up in a reasonably good space. So what we did is day one, when we reached out, I then started speaking to a lot of the OTT platforms. There was a lot of interest from platforms. And so when I reached out to Netflix and they said, "We love it." I think one of the other things that we did, which a lot of people would say it's stupid, is that I actually started that conversion after having 13 episodes ready. Believe me, I was shitting bricks while those episodes were being made because I didn't know where I land up. But I think to a certain degree, I took away the power from the platform because I was not going to them saying, boss, paisa to main banaunga. I'm saying, main bana chuka hu. And I'm already, my train has started. I'm here to tell you, are you going to come on board with me or not? At that point of time, it was a very audacious statement to make, but I thought that the conventional approach is not going to work. And I said that, look, also I said that I don't want to just work with you because you're a great platform, you're a marquee platform, but I want this show to reach out to a wider audience. And then obviously we spoke to Amazon, again, they loved the show, the quality was there for them to see. But I think what happened is that after a lot of balancing act, I managed to get both of them on board, number one. Two, I also knew that for the show to reach out to the grassroots level audience, I reached out to Prasar Bharati and I said that, sir, I want this as a nationwide launch. I don't want just on DD National. And honestly, it was a 15-minute meeting, and at the end of the 15-minute meeting, the CEO of Prasar Bharati and the DG, Kanchan Prasad, told me, yes, we are giving you the Sunday morning, 11 o'clock slot, right? It's the same slot which is Man Ki Baat ka slot. It's one of the most premier slots. And believe me, it was a 15-minute meeting. It just, honestly, it hit me when I walked out of that office that I've just got one of the best slots that you can get on Doordarshan, right? And we didn't stop there. For season 2, I said that I want to push the envelope even further. I want to raise awareness about my show. And that's when I thought I want to use the medium of radio. 400 million people today listen to radio in this country. And so we said that let's adapt the show. Let's produce a radio series and a podcast series. And we invested, we rewrote. I mean, AIR team told us, ऐसे ही दे दो सर चलेगा. I said नहीं, वो work नहीं करेगा. We rewrote the episodes, we re-recorded, and we released the radio series in 12 languages. We are today on 500 plus radio stations across the country. And what we did from a distribution strategy, I asked them for a 10:30 slot on radio. So at 10:30 on Sunday morning, Bharat Hum radio show starts, ends at 10:45. At 10:45, we call out saying, if you enjoyed listening to this, come and watch it on Doordarshan. It's gonna be starting in 15 minutes. And I said, you can also watch it on Netflix and Amazon. They are our streaming partners. So I think I also we chose to go this rate because I realized that no one platform is going to able to give me the money that I want to recover my investment. And let me tell you, I'm still not fully recovered. Okay, but we are going out. We're saying let's go all out and do this. I think the end result was that when we released season 1, Bharatayam was among the top 10 most watched shows on Netflix. And this is not in the kids category, in the main category. And we also made it to the globally most watched list. When we launched our show on October 15, 2023, in a 2.5 month span, we still made it to the top 10, to the most watched shows globally. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that, to your question, Ashish, I think that the distribution strategy no longer can be one platform. It has to be multi-platform because the audience is sitting across. And I think the other piece, I think, as creators and IP owners is that we can no longer ignore gaming. Because the audience is sort of moving towards creating their own content and engaging, So I think that's the other thing, I think cinema is a huge question mark.
I think we're out of time also, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm following the first point you mentioned. I'm finding a business partner. Manoj is a partner for distribution and marketing, right? Because that is something that naturally doesn't come to us as an organization. We do not understand the points that how to monetize, how to take it forward, how to create a brand out of it. So that's for that simple reason, we have partnered with Manoj, and he's going to be our driver to take this forward. And the second part, we did the same thing that what he did. I wanted creative control and freedom. So we are making 25 minutes, and then we are going to people and saying, "Arey bhai, already content hai. Abhi, can you please join the bandwagon?" And here's the reaction of the people. So these are the two primary strategies that we are adopting at this point.
Thank you so much. You guys have been a great audience. Thank you so much for having us.
Photo.
Thanks to all our panelists for the insights shared are key to driving India's AVGC growth. So can we have a huge round of applause? And also we have a delegate, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni. So please come on the stage. FICCI Chairman, to take the honor of issuing the moments. Yeah, that's it. That was a really great discussion about AI as well. When it comes to my self-experience, to be frank, yeah, to be frank, I also have a very good experience whenever I get to face any situations. So I also write it down. Either it can be emotionally traumatic. How do I take it? How do I use or gain knowledge out of this situation? AI helped me really great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next session. Today, we have Mr. Vichar, and he's an accomplished art director, traditional and digital sculptor, and Shilpa Shri State Award winner with over 20 years of experience in the industry. Vichar has mastered ZBrush and won multiple national and international awards for his exceptional work in the industry. We are excited to have him with us today. So I request Mr. Vichar, please come on the stage to guide us through expert techniques and insights on digital sculpting in ZBrush. And the audience, please can we have a huge round of applause to welcome Mr. Vichar.